around this place.
All around the East End in particular.
Yeah.
In the cloister you'd have people, round the chapter house you'd have people, but probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of burial. People would write a will in the 15th and 16th century, leaving, you know, sixpence to the priory and requesting to be buried in the grounds.
Right.
So huge numbers of lay people. They're almost functioning like parish churches, and there was often trouble because there was a fine line between a parish priest getting his income and looking after his church, and there are a lot of parish churches in this place, and the friars here trying to maintain their place.
And I'm trying to get an image in my head of the head guy of this place. Is he dressed in a simple grey?
Yeah.
If Victor was
grey with a hood,
with a monastic,
with a tonsure,
yeah. Very poor sandals.
Well, in our climate, I think big boots and boots. Socks.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, all right, sandals are okay in the Mediterranean, but not very good on the.
And the head guy is
a prior.
A prior. Is he? You know, seriously strong, big guy,
no,
important,
in
or
fact,
humble?
He's probably very humble, and he's probably had a pretty poor diet. These chaps are mendicants, which means that they get their living by begging.
Right.
So you only get them in towns and cities because they rely on the local population giving them food, giving them money, giving them clothes, and actually even providing the buildings for them to live in, which are usually provided by the town council.
And in modern from a modern point of view, you might say, why did they do it? You know, what was the attraction of living this really quite tough, poor life?
Well, they're trying to live and behave as Christ did.
Okay.
You know, they're living a fairly austere, simple life, and they're ministering to the poor and the sick and all the rest of it.
And that would ultimately save their souls?
That would solve their souls and the people they're dealing with.
Right. And how many people in here at the height of this?
I haven't looked up the figures, but it's usually a dozen, or perhaps 15, or perhaps 20 at the height of it.
Yeah.
But not a huge number given the size of the establishment.
And all gets smashed down at the Reformation, or we don't?
At the dissolution. But you see, one of the interesting things is because these chaps don't own anything.
Yeah.
The buildings almost certainly belong to the town council.
Right.
So when the dissolution comes off and these chaps are evicted, the town council just takes the property back because it's actually theirs anyway.
Right.
And they gave it in the first place.
Right.
And then it's turned into a Tudor mansion.
Okay.
You know, they probably make a bob or two by selling it off.
The buildings behind us have got bits of Tudory tarting up,
they've been modified with windows and doorways and so on.
Okay.
So there's probably, and we don't know the plan of it, somewhere in this it gets converted into a house. There's a ready-made walled garden round it, private garden for the Tudor gentleman that's living here.
And where are we putting our excavation in approximately?
Our excavation is on that corner there.
Okay. And the reason we're doing that is basically to see if there's some stonework down there, to see what the condition of the stonework is like.
And it should be massive, because at that point there, the foundations have got to support not only the western end wall, which is carrying the roof, but also the side wall, which is carrying the roof. So there's a lot of stresses on that corner.
And you call it a priory?
Technically they're priories.
And that's not an abbey, it's not a friary, it's
is a friary.
It's a friary.
Look, simple rule, simple rule.
Yes.
All these places are monasteries.
Right.
Right? The head person of an independent monastery is an abbot or an abbess.
Right.
Because they're not answerable to anybody else.
Could be a woman up this neck of the woods, maybe.
There are women.
Yeah.
The next in command is a prior or a prioress.
Right.
So something that's called a priory is dependent on somewhere else.
Right.
Now with friaries, they're dependent on the local bishop.
Right.
So the local bishop acts as an abbot, and the head of this would have been a prior.
And this is a dependent house on somewhere else we don't?
No, not particularly, although the prior who ran this, where would he be answering to around here? Possibly, I'm just trying to think of what the local diocese would have been. Probably Norwich, actually.
Yeah.
Although it might even be London.
And I asked you this morning over breakfast, if you think of famous ones around this part of the world, which is there one that people can go and see that would sort of look like?
There are bits of quite a lot of them.
King's Lynn, you mentioned.
King's Lynn has got the middle with the tower
Yeah.
of one left, a very nice brick structure.
Yeah.
The Chichester has the chancel end of one of these.
Mm.
I mean, because they belong to the town and that the decision come back to the town and then get used for something else, they've got quite a high survival rate.
Right.
I mean, Bristol, for example, had 4, and most of one of them, which I think is a Blackfriars, is now the registry office.
Oh, right.
So that's down there in the shopping centre.
And that's continuity of use from,
Yeah.
what, 12, 1300?
They come in the early 1200s.
To, you know, so that's quite
The
a...
present day, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you very much.
And the 2 original founders are interesting guys as
And
well.
are you finding it interesting to know whether or not we've got that corner and what sort of nick it'll be in?
Yes, because you see, it'll be interesting to see how posh it is.
Right.
If we can get that.
I think we know we've got window glass from the previous excavation.
Bear in mind these chaps are poverty stricken and they're beggars.
Yeah.
If it's a posh building, what it says is the local townspeople value what they're doing,
Right.
and have rebuilt the place in a posh scale.
Okay.
So if you've got flush work, you know, the flint work that Phil likes, the cracked
Yeah.
flint, and if it's got nice ashlar masonry, it'll show that somebody really thinks a lot of these chaps.
And somebody said that sometimes they brought in cast stone
Oh, yeah.
from France.
Yeah.
Why are they bringing stone in from France?
Because there's no good building stone in East Anglia, and it's actually almost quicker to bring it across the channel from Caen, Normandy,
Yes.
than it is to fetch it from the Cotswolds.
I
for
mean,
example.
you can even see on a wall behind us
Yeah, you can see
a lot
some
of
the-
pebbles
Yeah, I mean this.
and some big chunks
A
of...
lot of this is flint, you see, that's
Yeah.
cracked.
Yeah.
But then you've got some rather poor limestone.
Yeah.
They've used what look like beach boulders at times.
Yeah.
They've got brick, which might be Roman brick.
That
You
looks
know?
quite... Yeah.
Roman tile, you get that a lot.
Yeah. And then some big squarey chunks behind you.
Yeah, I mean something like that, you see,
Yeah.
which is a good quality limestone, not much of it.
Yeah.
That might be an imported stone.
And this is a remnant of that wall that went round
This is the wall going round.
the perimeter.
And I mean, a lot of this is probably post-dissolution,
Right.
but I mean, it might go with a Tudor house, you see. But,
Yes.
but it'll be 16th century or earlier.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much.
This
We
stuff here is clunch, right?
should- Clunch.
Yeah, which is hard chalk. But you see,
Is that what you say when you bite into a vegetable
yeah,
and you get
and
clunch?
that's right. But you see how badly it's weathered.
Yes.
It's actually all frosted and flaked away. It's not a good building stone.
Okay.
Desperate.
I think we're probably lunchtime now.
Oh, yeah, I can smell it.
Thank you.
Smells good.
I shall take my
That's an Aston original.
an Aston original.
It's not a very good one, but you can sell it.
And we'll hope Victor's. And what else would you like to see in Victor's drawing? I like the cliff edge. I like
Yeah.
some grey friars around the place.
What I might do is put him a bit of cloister,
Yeah.
and a bit of burial ground, and generally make it like as if it's a bird's eye view, like a crow's flying over.
And
it or
these
something.
guys, would they have been? They would have had Latin. They would have been having services in Latin.
That's right, yeah.
This
and
is prior to English becoming, which is very late, really.
well, yes. I mean, the medieval documentation and the medieval church functions on Latin right the way through to the 16th century.
Oh, okay.
And they would have been able to read and write, almost certainly. They would have been taught that as when they came in.
Well, I think probably our lunch today is going to be better than their
Yeah. Oh, they were poverty stricken.
bread and
Yeah. Whatever people gave them.
pottage
Yeah.
or whatever. Okay,
Okay.
lunchtime.